Let me tell you, I've been under very strict instructions to not embarrass Jared.
Embarrass him?
He was like, do not go on there and embarrass me. So I can barely talk about this.
Wait, why would he? What would you do that would embarrass him?
See, we can't start this way.
Yeah,
we cannot. Just mentioning anything about high school and you and him, he's like, do not bring it up.
There's nothing embarrassing about that, though. And we literally were like, I don't know, 14?
Yeah.
We went on one date to the movies.
That's exactly what he's like. Don't bring it up. Don't embarrass me.
Jared. I don't know if this is going to make it to the edit, but Jared, shout out to you and your amazing, beautiful wife. I crack up, though, because it's like, life is so funny. The world is so small. You do date people and then you look up one day and you're sitting across from their amazing wife.
Yes.
It's like, this could have been me. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. This is exactly what he did not want. I actually
kidding.
interviewed another one of his exes on my podcast.
Stop.
And this is the joy of, I'm not from here, but
Yeah.
he's from here.
Mhm.
So I meet his exes all the time.
Yeah.
And of course I'll get along with them. They have great taste.
Literally.
Those are my girls.
As you
Those are
do,
my
as you
people.
do as well. And
He's
you guys
like,
have such an amazing dynamic in
Don't
your
talk about
relationship.
it. Don't bring me up.
Yeah, too late. Too late.
Don't embarrass me.
That literally is one of the notes on my thing. Like, catch me up. Jared and I dated for 7 seconds in high school. Okay, wait, let me
getting in
intro
so
you.
much
This is too
trouble.
funny. This is too funny. What's up, guys? Kayla Nicole here, and welcome to the pregame. I'm so excited for today's guest. She is such a baddie. She's so fun, so empowering. Today's guest is that girl when it comes to modern love, intimacy, and unlearning everything we thought we knew about relationships. She's a certified sexologist, an award-winning author, host of Lover and Friends podcast. You've seen her everywhere, from MTV to Masterclass, and you've most likely sent one of her reels to your group chat. Like, why is she reading my life right now? I've sent you multiple times to the chat. Like, y'all all need to see this, okay? Shan Boodram isn't just having the conversations. She's shifting the culture with a bold but compassionate approach. She teaches us how to communicate, how to love ourselves first, and how to build relationships rooted in truth and not tradition.
Oh
Shan.
my goodness. Wow. This just gave me such an epiphany. It's like starting the podcast this way feels like getting the mother's love, right?
Yeah, your flowers.
Like you're getting I think people should start dates this way.
I think so too. You sit down immediately, you tell me everything that you love about me.
Yes.
I think that's a great idea, honestly. It really warms you up.
Yeah, it does warm you up.
Well, welcome to the pregame.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining
You're
me.
so beautiful, so smart, so exceptional. We both ran track.
Did we really?
I ran track, yeah. And I really ran track because I often talk to men or boys
Mhm.
who are like, I ran track. And then I start asking them questions. And then I'm like, you mean in elementary school?
Yeah.
I mean, I really did this.
What did you do in track?
I did the 300 hurdles, 400 hurdles, 800, 400,
Oh, girl.
200. But really, when I got to college, I got switched to like mid distance.
Okay, I don't want to burst your bubble. I did jumps.
You did jumps.
I did long jump,
But you went really far,
triple jump,
right?
high jump. Yeah, but like in high school.
What? I thought
I
that you
didn't
got
do
a
it in college.
scholarship.
No, my God, I wish that I did.
This was the story I was told.
Jared told you that?
Should I leave? I don't feel
Jared
connected
just
anymore.
lied to you about my life.
Yeah.
You're like, actually, never
track
mind.
scholarship. She was you told me that you were so incredible at like track.
Oh my gosh.
You were a track star.
Well, I was a gymnast.
You were a jump star.
I was a jump star. I was a gymnast for like the majority of my time in high school, my childhood. But then I also switched over to track in high school because I needed a sport. So like my junior year, senior year. And it was something that I picked up very quickly
Yeah.
because it's similar skill sets. I don't know. I excelled in jumping though. I hate running.
You're definitely an athlete.
I consider myself to be one now.
Absolutely, you're an athlete.
People keep telling me.
I'm an athlete. You can't take that from me.
We have to take a shot of all of our beverages on the table. First of all, Shan has agreed to join me today at the crack of dawn. It is 9 a.m. in Los Angeles.
Yes.
I deeply appreciate you getting up this early to talk to me.
I had to say yes because there should be a rule of thumb where if somebody that you care about
Yes.
asks you a question or asks you something, you can decline them twice, but the third time you have to say yes. So you originally asked me for like an evening time, and I was like, I can't do that because I have kids pick up. And you asked me for another time that I was like, it's kind of close to pick up. So when you said morning, I was like, bitch, you gotta say yes.
You know
now.
what? At this point,
Yeah, I gotta say yes. This is the third option. So yes.
I
And I'm
appreciate
so
that.
happy to be here and excited. I tried to get you on my podcast
Yes.
for a really long time.
Yes,
Never
I
worked
need to.
out.
No,
But
we need
now
to.
I'm only here to
Please.
peer pressure you for the swap.
Usually we have a cocktail, a signature cocktail for the girlies, but today Shan's having a lovely chai tea latte,
Mm.
and I have a espresso. I could have put some tequila in there.
I like this chai tea.
Is
I
it
don't
good?
love it. It's okay.
Yeah.
This one's made a lot of cinnamon.
So you're not into the cinnamon.
I don't think so.
Well, Blue Bottle, count your days, okay? My guest is not pleased. with her beverage of choice. Well, I want to jump into things. That was our little first quarter catch up and yap. I want to make sure we spend a lot of time in our other quarters because I have 1,000,001 questions.
Yay.
I asked the girls that follow me to send in some sex questions, relationship questions. So we'll touch on those at the end of the episode too. But first, we're going to jump into the second quarter, which is just about trending topics, things that are going on in the world.
Yes.
And something that is going viral right now, repeatedly, I've talked about this on other podcasts. It's pretty much been going viral for like a month, 2 months now. Neo and his polyamorous relationship. It's all the rave right now. Everyone's talking about it. He recently went on Angie Martinez's podcast and basically broke down the relationship status. So he's dating 4 women. They're open about it. You know, he's posting them all the time. They're going viral all the time. But I think that what was interesting about this conversation was him explaining the dynamic. So I'm going to read you the quote from this, and we're just going to chat about it because I just think that it's interesting, a man's perspective versus my perspective of what it means to be in a polyamorous relationship. So he told Angie, he said, "I'm the head of this household. What I say goes." He also says that he offers them a life of luxury in exchange for submission. But there's only one rule, and that rule is that they are not allowed to date other men.
Okay.
Whereas he's allowed to date other women. But currently, his hands are full. How do you suggest people have hard conversations, one about monogamy, but potentially about exploring the world of poly?
This sounds like monopoly.
Ooh,
Monopoly.
Okay.
Wherein you're with people who the agreement is they're monogamous and you're polyamorous. And many of our great-grandparents and grandparents were in monopoly relationships.
Really?
Where grandpa had his thing, had
Yes.
a life on the side, and then grandma looked the other way. So what he's describing is not new. And at the end of the day, I've been in this space now for 20 years, and I've just heard a billion different configurations and ways that people relate, connect, and find love. And I also acknowledge that people have different priorities when it comes to love. Many people's main priority isn't the feeling or the connection. It is the exchange of money, immigration status, you know, securing a life for their children, or just an experience. So I just don't guffaw it. I'm like, oh, okay. Like, I'm happy that he's in an exchange where they can all name it and claim it.
Yeah.
He's comfortable saying it publicly. I think he should remix the name to be more accurate to what it actually is.
Yes.
Because you do a disservice to the community where you advertise in this way and people hear it and think, well, that's what it is.
Yes.
No, that's not what it is. Polyamory is where everybody has a free opportunity to love, experience, and share. And it's rejecting the scarcity mindset of love, wherein if I give love to you, I don't have love to give to others. He still obviously occupies a scarcity mindset around love and connection because he believes that if his partners are giving love to others, it reduces the quality that he gets in return.
Right.
So it's just different. Not my preference, not my cup of tea, but I'm not fucking him.
Right. Also that, it's like to each his own. I just think that it's interesting too because this is the typical perspective, at least in conversations that I've had with men. They think that this is a world that women are, one, incapable of operating in. So like that's why we have situations like, for example, my experience with men is there's been this cheating dynamic where
On you?
oh yeah, girl. The hard conversation for me, I think now my perspective on monogamy is just that men are not necessarily capable of doing that, but also feel that women aren't capable of digesting the idea of having multiple partners. And as you said, being capable of giving equal love to everyone that they're involved in. So then we get in these situations where we're in monogamous relationships, you're cheating, I'm faithful to you, but it completely ruins the dynamic and the trust of the situation.
Yes.
It's also just like a double standard that men have, like this idea that a woman only wants to be in a relationship for love, that we don't also have the desire to have multiple sexual partners or have the capacity to like love multiple people. What do you think about that double standard when it comes to a men's perspective of what monogamy is versus like a woman's?
Yeah, I think a lot of it also is rooted in misogyny because
Absolutely.
you'll meet a lot of men who are like, I'm comfortable with her having sex with other women, but it can't be other men.
Yeah.
And then when you dig deeper into that, they're like, well, that's because they view women as sexual
Property.
pleasure objects and property. And they're basically a car that you don't have to run through valet. But it's just an experience. It's something to show off. And so you can definitely just have sex with a woman and not get any emotional ties to her.
Yeah.
But if you have sex with a man, I mean, men have substance.
Yeah.
You know, there's an emotional connection there.
Or it's an emotional cheat. I feel like I hear that so much. If a woman cheats, she's emotionally cheating. She was emotionally invested.
Unless she has sex with a woman. Then it was
it's
just
fun.
fun. Then it's just casual. Then it's just fun, right?
Right.
I think that also just speaks to their view of the discardability of women,
Mm-hmm.
the interchangeability of women. And that would be a huge red flag for me.
Absolutely. If someone wanted to explore the world of poly, how would you suggest they have those conversations with either their partner or people that they're dating?
Yeah, don't start by yourself. You know what I mean? I can't have a conversation about Cambodian food without talking to people from Cambodia or learning and researching. You don't have the framework. You don't have the examples. You've never gotten the education before. So you can't just start intuitively.
Yeah.
Like, you actually have to sit down, think about your feelings, write them down, and then start processing them against experts, people who've lived that experience successfully, reading books, listening to podcasts. I wouldn't even put myself at the forefront of like polyamorous representative. I haven't lived that lifestyle. I have a non-monogamous relationship. I have to roll my eyes at that because it's a little silly, but I do.
We have to touch on that.
I do. It's just a little silly. But I just mean to say that, like, steep yourself in those. If you have the curiosity, then like put the work in and really genuinely research it. And then what you hear just willy-nilly from Neo is just not going to be the framework or for most people's successful model when it comes to polyamory sustainably. Obviously, this is like a very unique person who has lots of money and opportunity. And I mean, I work a lot in reality TV. So I host shows or I lead workshops in reality TV. And I just come to learn that those people are just never there for love. They're there for a come up. They're there to try to excel their career. And like, love is a stepping stone towards that. And so the people that Neo are dating are probably not dissimilar from the people that I talk to on Too Hot to Handle. So there's just and I acknowledge that that's either a phase or that's a priority, that you don't mind that trade-off. You don't mind superficial connections in order to get to another level of success that you deem as more important to you. That's your cup of tea.
Honestly,
I married a guy who worked at Trejo's Tacos, so it's just not my it's not my story. It's not what I'm driven to do, but I respect people who are. We also have to talk more about this cheating.
I have been conditioned to believe in a fairy tale of love and relationships. You watch the Disney movies.
As you should.
You grow up in church. I was raised to believe that a man and a woman, if they are in a relationship, if they are married, you are only intended to be with each other. And you make this agreement, you make this promise to one another, and you hold each other accountable. Have I experienced that in dating and relationships in my life ever? No, not once. And so when you are cheated on, the heartbreak and the devastation that comes with that, the insecurities that come with that, it can be overwhelming. And it's hard to, I think, go into new relationships without the mindset of, I probably am going to get cheated on. So let me try and protect myself. Or I'm probably going to be cheated on. Everything that this person is telling me might be a lie. I don't know if that is my own fault in doing, or if I can maybe not blame my upbringing, but I think that there is a lack of like transparency.
Why would you why do you link your upbringing to someone else's actions?
I missed out on having just honest conversations like this. I don't think that there were women in my life who really like sat me down and had conversations about sex, had conversations about relationships, infidelity, because I think that it's a part of life. I think that there are really great success stories, maybe where people don't experience that. But in my experience, I don't have very many successful monogamous relationships without any element of cheating.
Well, that's fair. And your lived experience definitely does point to that. But if we thought about this as a study, there's 4 billion men on this planet, give or take. 5 of them have cheated. Statistically, that's like decimal 0.0000005. That isn't to say that there is not. And again, it's not to say that that's not the reality. But Josh, have you cheated before? There's one.
Is he telling the truth? See, this is what I'm saying.
He answered very quickly. No. You'll leave before he cheats. So I've spoken to enough men who, not to say that they've never. I've cheated before. Have you cheated before?
I have not.
You've never? Not even in high school?
I've never cheated.
Okay.
Well, in high school, I had like a 7-second boyfriend, and I went on one date with Jared.
Stop talking about this.
I've never cheated.
Yeah.
And this is just me being honest. I think that a man is capable of cheating, and that doesn't take away from the love that they have for you, the respect that they have for you. I think in a lot of ways, men are just wired. Yeah, also that. But I do think that men are just wired a little bit differently. And it could just be strictly physical. But I do think that they're just different.
I think that, definitely social conditioning allows them to be different. Because if you were told that other men do it and you still see those men partnered, that gives you a permission that women just don't have.
Yeah.
And if you're if it becomes normalized and you hear things like all men cheat, when you have the inclination to do so, you're less likely to stop yourself because you're like, this is normal behavior.
Right.
Whereas in for you, you're like, good girls don't, women would never,
Yeah.
if you're really in love, you would never. And those are the kinds of messagings that are happening in your brain as you're having those impulses.
Right.
So I don't think that there's any like neurological backing to say that men are more wired to cheat. There's like positive arguments. I mean, to me, cheating is the betrayal and the lying component.
Yes.
To have multiple sexual partners, we can absolutely make an argument that back in the hunter-gatherer days when there was 40 people in the village, if there was one guy populating half the village, he'd be a pretty big stud.
Yeah.
He'd be like, we'd owe our lives to
Yes,
him.
we'd be like,
we didn't
"Oh,
get eaten by the
hell."
saber-toothed tiger because you gave us an army of 10 boys. So
Right.
thank you for that.
Yeah.
So I think there's an argument to like the sowing the seed component, but the dishonesty, the betrayal, the lying, the sneakiness, there is no hereditary trait that says that men are more likely to do that.
Mhm.
It's the permission that I think that we all give.
Yeah.
So changing even the language that we use, you've chosen men who are prone to cheat or who've given themselves permission to cheat. You could have chosen Josh. You can still choose Josh. They're out there.
Yeah.
And I hope that your lived experience. Let me ask you this question, actually. Given that you've had this experience with these 5 men, are there any trends that you noticed in them that are now early red flags for you?
Absolutely. And I can take ownership in that too.
Well, what are they? Pass on
Honestly,
the advice.
inability to be honest with yourself. I cannot expect you to be honest with me. So if something as simple as you're not even open to exploring therapy or finding out the wrongs in you as a person, or why do you tick the way that you do, you're completely closed off to that. It's going to be really hard to have honest conversations with you because you really don't even know who you are at the core of your being. So that's an early red flag for me. The first date question, like, have you ever been to therapy? Are you open to going to therapy? Do you talk about your feelings? And if you don't do those things, I'm immediately terrified of you.
Mm-hmm. Do you have an example of someone that you tried this with and they were just completely shut off?
Well, granted, I think that I didn't really start going to therapy until maybe like 2 or 3 years ago now, for sure. But I have been in relationships where I have tried to, offer therapy. Like, maybe we should go to like relationship counseling. We're trying to like move to the next level. We need to talk to somebody. We need to clear some things up. We need to figure some things out around here. Not open to it. And for me, someone who is trying to do the work and trying to unlearn things of my past, I need someone who is open to that.
I love that. Okay, that's tip number 1. Do you have any others that you noticed? Red flags?
As a sign of cheating? Or that they would cheat?
Yeah, that they're a cheater.
Probably hiding things that don't need to be hidden, stories not adding up, like volunteering unnecessary information that wasn't ever asked. It's like, I'm like, hey, what did you do last night? And it's very defensive. It's like, okay, I was just making conversation with you. That's a red flag to me because why are you so defensive about your plans? Or like, you go on a guy's trip and I can't get a hold of you for 72 hours. That's weird. You know what I mean? That's a red flag. Where the fuck were you? What the fuck were you doing?
This is helpful information.
If I can't get in touch with you, that's a problem for me in a relationship because I'm always available.
I spoke with this job recruiter recently and I asked her, what have you learned about dating and partner selection through your job?
Mm-hmm.
And she said that people will always give you the answers. A lot of people think that people are very sneaky, that they're very guarded. She's like, on a job interview where your one objective is to show up and try to make yourself look good.
Yeah.
People will tell you the truth about who they are. And they may not do it in the first question you ask, but in a follow-up question, the answer will reveal itself.
Yeah.
So do you think that there's like certain questions you can ask on a first date that would give you like a clear sign, or how that person operates around other women, how they talk about their exes?
Also, that's a big one. Yeah. What's your relationship with your ex? I think that if a man is ever like, oh, she's a crazy person and she's just nuts and she was always going through my phone and always looking for something, it's like, well, why is she doing that? Like, what did you do within that relationship to bring that woman to that place? I think talking badly about your ex is a huge red flag.
Mm-hmm.
There's might be truth there. They might have been a terrible person, but I think immediate response to put all the blame on someone else is crazy. Red flag. Yeah.
Jared spoke very highly of you.
You know what? This is what we're going to do. We're getting Jared. We're getting Jared on the pod. He literally will not agree to it, but we're getting Jared on the pod next. Okay, let's jump over to our next trending topic. NLE Chopper. You know who that is? He's a rapper. NLE Chopper.
Yes.
He has
I thought
a
you
song.
said Emily Chopper.
No, NLE. If I was a bad bitch, I want to fuck me too.
I don't know it.
Okay, we'll play it for you later.
Go to the
Never
club.
heard that one. The club. Okay, so NLE recently went on The Breakfast Club. He's very open about his sex life and practices, his spirituality, which is, I think, in my opinion, very dope of him.
Mm-hmm.
But he went on The Breakfast Club and he told everyone that he practices edging.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to Google what edging was. I had no idea.
Wow.
Yeah, I had no idea.
What?
So according to the internet, edging is a sexual technique that involves deliberately prolonging sexual arousal without reaching orgasm. It involves building up excitement to near climax, then stopping stimulation just before ejaculation or orgasm.
Mm-hmm.
So this is apparently like a big trend right now.
Yeah, it's not a trend. It's like a Stone Age norm.
Okay, so it's not a trend. People have been doing this and just not telling anybody. It didn't have a name.
It did have a name.
Nobody was talking
It's
about
very
it.
popular. But you know what? This is like the song that you just
I'm
sang.
such a prude.
But this is the moment in reverse, okay?
Yeah.
I'm like, you don't know what edging
It
is?
skipped my algorithm. It's not on my Explore page.
Yeah, that's on my Explore page every day
Yeah.
since 2006. But
Okay, tell me more about this and why is this supposed to be so powerful?
I mean, it can be powerful. I don't enjoy edging,
Okay.
but many people do. So essentially, it's taking somebody to a 9 and then back to a 3, and then taking them to an 8 and then down to a 4, and then taking them to a 7. So it's like, you get that feeling when the wave is starting to build, and just before that crescendo happens and it curls over, we just stop the flow of the current. So it's a teasing mechanism that once you actually get to the 10, it can make the orgasm more powerful. For me, if I edge, the orgasm feels like it's being taken from me.
Yeah, that sounds like, when you're like about to come and you're like, don't stop. And you're like, keep doing that. And then the guy switches it up.
Yes.
And it's like, what? I literally just said, don't stop.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
it's intentional though.
It's intentional. And for some
Okay.
people, I think people who can orgasm very quickly. I think if you're somebody who I require consistency, and I require consistency for a prolonged period of time.
Mhm.
And then if you take me to a 9 and then stop,
I will.
we're starting back at 1.
Oh, yeah.
We're
wow.
not getting to 7. Like,
Yeah.
okay, well, I hope you have another 40 minutes.
Yeah. It's like,
Great.
Clear the schedule. Somebody get the kids
Well,
from
great.
school, sweetie.
Yeah, let's. I hope you know
Dang.
that we're now locked in for the night.
Okay. Yeah. This is literally my first time hearing about this.
But people with penises love it, and so do people with vulvas. But if next time they're with a partner, they love it. Many of them really love it.
Why do people with penises love it?
Most people with penises are designed to orgasm between 3 to 12 minutes.
Okay.
So I think when the preoccupation is on being hard for as long as possible, if we think of, sex as erection focused, then it gives them an opportunity to be harder for longer, which they enjoy. And then also too, like, it's just another way of experiencing orgasm. I think that a lot of men are deprived from variety when it comes to sex. Whereas for women, because we get to delight in our whole body, right?
Mhm.
Like our necks get kissed, our nipples get kissed,
Yeah.
like behind the knees. So there's so many different sensations we can experience during sex.
Wow.
And for many straight men, they're like stuck between a rock and a hard place when it comes to sex. It's like, how do I preserve my masculinity and my heterosexuality? And that just means like dick only.
Yeah.
Right? My balls don't get played with. My
My butt.
butthole does not get played
Yeah.
with. My nipples don't get licked.
Mm.
My behind my knees doesn't get tickled. My feet don't get massaged. My toes never get sucked.
Yeah.
So any other kind of way that you can bring variety, and I think edging is a safe space for them to experiment with kink and sexploration, sensuality.
And an element of control too. Like you said, I think like the masculinity element of it, I think that would probably entice a man. Feeling like I can control when you're coming or not, or I can take it away when I want.
Oh, when they're doing it to you.
Yes.
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 What was the number that you just said? 3 to 12 minutes?
Yes.
What was that though?
How long most men can maintain an erection with like sustained stimulation. So that's how long sex usually lasts for.
Now that you put a timestamp on it, that's not long.
No, it's not.
As
But-
opposed to women, and how long on average does it take for a
Well,
woman?
let's go back to the hunter-gatherer days.
We don't have time for all that.
We don't have time. We're in
Yeah.
the jungle.
Yeah.
Bobo the bear is on our backs, right?
Yeah.
We're trying to populate the village. We don't have all night.
Yeah.
What? The snakes come out at 3 a.m. Like,
Yeah.
we need to speed this up. Like, it's successful to be able to get in there, do your thing, and ejaculate, spread your seed very quickly, and
Yeah.
move on. So I think that if you do, and some people enjoy that, but then I think there's also a misconception between women who want 5 hours of Pound Town.
Mm-hmm.
So I think those kinds of conversations are important to have because sex doesn't have to be this one thing.
Yeah.
Sex can be 7 hours, 8 hours,
A
10
spectrum,
hours,
yeah.
and you could spend 14 of those total in penetration,
Mm-hmm.
and it could be a great night.
Yeah. I've never heard that number before.
No, does it feel wrong to you or right to you?
Initially, it feels very short. It's almost like after 12 minutes, I'm going to be like, well, can we just do it again before we go? Like, we have a little bit more time. We have more time. Like, to me, 3 minutes is a quickie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then
it's like, am I a sex addict? That's what I'm asking.
No, because it's like, it might be 3 minutes in one position and they edge themselves.
Yes.
They stop, they change positions.
Okay.
Like
yeah.
they switch acts. They say, stop. Hold on, baby. Hold on.
Now, what's interesting about NLE, though, he said specifically that he never fully allows himself to climax or ejaculate. He just holds it in and he thinks that it's retaining some sort of like spiritual power and connection. Have you heard any truth to that? Any studies around that?
There's no truth to that. But anecdotally, it's true.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
If you think it's true,
yeah,
then it is. But if you don't use it, you lose it. Your body produces what it loses. So if you're never losing it, your body's not like driven to produce more. Even the theory that like athletes are supposed to, maintain their semen before an event to give themselves more testosterone, there is no scientific truth to that at all. But if rubbing a lucky rabbit's foot or calling your grandma or eating a slice of peach cobbler and not masturbating helps you think you're going to win the game,
right?
Then
do it.
Go for it. And if it were that simple, then like nobody would ever lose.
Right.
It's like, but it's,
I think that's so good. Okay, NLE, I don't know, man. You might want to just let it go.
But if you like it, if you think it's
into
working for you, then it definitely works.
Yes. Okay, last topic in our little trending topics section. The most Googled section of 2024 was, what is autosexual?
I don't know.
We've stumped her. Okay, let me tell you.
Rub it in my face. What? This has been on the algorithm since like 2003.
Like everyone's doing it.
This is new to you? Wow.
I had no idea. I had to Google this too, girl. Okay. Chat GPT, what is autosexual? The minute I saw this. Okay, it says to be autosexual means to be attracted to yourself more than others. Sex therapists and expert advisor at Sex Therapy app previously told Cosmo that autosexual individuals are attracted primarily, sometimes exclusively, to their own bodies, but appreciated more generally. Autoeroticism, we're learning words here today, guys, involves a whole range of sexual behaviors and attitudes. So some people may be turned on by themselves exclusively, while some might be turned on by both themselves and others. And immediately I was like, okay, well, like maybe I identify as this because like me being in lingerie turns me on, or like watching myself, have sex in the mirror turns me on. But it's more so, it's a little bit more extreme than that. I guess they said if you're aroused by the thought of having sex with yourself, or you have to think about yourself to climax, then you might be autosexual.
It sounds like a lot of men are autosexual. That's
honestly
not. I buck up against this. It's interesting because I used to say this is like a normal fact because Esther Perel, who's such a gift to the sex and relationship space, she's a therapist, but one of her quotables is that women are most turned on by themselves. So a woman. For men, it's the lingerie, it's the visual cues, it's how you look. For them, if they don't feel like they look good, then they're not aroused and interested in having sex. So it's like saying yes to yourself first. And then I started to question that and think, is that because we put so much pressure on ourselves to be the erotic eye candy?
Yeah.
Because we feel like we're not worthy of sex unless we look a certain way. So it's not that we're only turned on, it's that we only feel worthy to enter the environment if we're shaved, if we're primed, if we have our tits pushed up and all the above. So I think that autoeroticism sounds really hot, but it's also good to have expectations for your partner. To be like, you need to show up a certain way, or like, I need to be turned on. I need to be delighted. You need to try. Like, it's not just me.
Yeah.
Like, you need to put the effort in, wash the dishes, pick up this, do that. Like, find ways to engage me, entice me into the act. It's not on me to show up as like the 4-course meal for you to devour.
Yeah. Ugh. Okay, that brings us to our third quarter Q&A. We can get right into it because I feel like this is something that I struggle with so much. And from the outside looking in, apparently, and I talk to men about this all the time, they think they won't even have a sexual experience with me. But judging a book by its cover, they're like, oh no, like you're a very sexual person. Like you're a freak. You're so confident in the bedroom, which in a lot of ways that I am, I do agree. But I think that there is a certain art of seduction and sex appeal that you have really mastered. And you've broken it down to make it like so seamless and approachable and easy to do. I'll just give you one scenario that just sticks out in my head when I think about sex appeal, and you just mentioned this, is the whole like lingerie presentation. There is nothing that I despise more than having to put on lingerie. It's not the wearing the lingerie. Like I can put on the lingerie and be in the bed and like, oh, surprise, like I have on lingerie for you. But the idea of like turning on a song and turning down the lights and standing at the doorway with my hand on the door and being like, hey, I can't do it for the life of me. I can't do it. But I do think that, like you said, there is an expectation with your partner to create this environment where you feel like, okay, you're trying. Like you're going the extra mile to be appealing to me.
Mm-hmm.
I struggle with that deeply. And I asked the chat to kind of like send in questions, and it came up a lot too. Like, how do I increase my confidence in the bedroom so that I can increase my overall sex appeal?
I love that question. I also want to say that I'm not surprised that people over-sexualize you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as a Black woman, often Black women are hyper over-sexualized because Black women are not given the opportunity to be individuals.
Yeah.
They have to be categorized. So you're either the mammy or you're the Jezebel. You're like the unfuckable nanny who I don't even look at in that way.
Yeah.
Or you're this like hyper-sexualized person who I think that this is what your role is. And also, you're so confident in your body. So I think people naturally probably make that equation.
Yes.
So that's an unlearning for them.
Absolutely.
Or an invitation in if that feels exciting for you. To be like,
to own that.
To own that. Or maybe you don't want to, right? Like that's okay too.
I think sometimes I definitely struggle with people, over-sexualizing me. Or it's like if I post a bikini photo, why is this perceived as something so sexy because I have, butt cheeks that are bigger than others? Or I have, breasts. I just don't feel like I want to be always considered and viewed as this like sexual object. So maybe that's why I'm a little bit insecure too in the bedroom as well.
I do want to give you your kudos on that, though. I think that you like sit in a very unique space in the super hot body person on Instagram, where I think a lot of and you talked about this before, a lot of your followers are actually women.
Yeah.
So it's people who are drawn to you, who are inspired by you, who see a light within you that reflects in the outside exterior.
Yeah.
Whereas some people, it's like all outside exterior, and you're like, but please don't write a caption.
Don't speak.
It's okay. So I think that that's a credit to you that like you bring class and chicness and intellect to the sexiness.
I try.
So but you're owning that in your own way. You don't have to translate that to the bedroom if you don't want to.
Okay.
But if you did want to, I think that I love the book The Art of Seduction.
Yes.
It's a Robert Greene book. My favorite part about it is that it is 400 pages.
Okay.
Right, because you
Quick,
think
easy read.
like right.
I can do that.
But if we think about it in modern terms, seduction should be a tweet.
Yeah.
Right? Or an X, whatever the fuck those things are called these days. But it should be like, well, wear lingerie, dress hot, put your hand like this,
put
move
some
your
oil
hip
on.
like that, put some oil on, and like call him daddy.
Yeah. Wait for
there we go.
Head around.
You've done seduction.
Yeah.
But no, there's so many different rich and delicious ways that people can invite somebody in. And seduction essentially means, how do I make my impression last long even after I'm gone? That thing that makes you think, oh, wow, like they're intriguing to me. I met Jared and we didn't hook up or talk to each other till a year later. So it's like that seeding of that first moment of that there's something there between us. And it doesn't have to be overtly sexual.
Yeah.
It can be intellectual. It can be playful. It can be intriguing. It can be cheeky. So you have to find your way of doing seduction that you're like, I love this.
Yeah.
When I do this, I feel powerful. I feel fun. One of my favorite ways to seduce people is through the ideal lover. And in essence, and I'm really good at this, but I'll find out what someone's good at and what they want to do with their lives. And then when I'm around them, I speak to them as if it's already come to fruition.
Ooh.
So if I find out that you like love painting,
yes,
I'm like, oh my God, like how's your painting going?
Mm-hmm.
When are you going to show your art? I don't see you posted on Instagram. I'm like, I look every single day for it. You're so good. You're so talented.
Oh, yeah.
And so that person gets to live in a dream come true in your presence.
Yeah.
And that is highly seductive. Even in the bedroom, right? Like, yes, there's people who are good at dirty talk, but one of the most beautiful stories about sex I've ever heard before is somebody who had sex with somebody who just praised them. Just words of affirmation.
Wow.
You are loved. You are a reflection of God.
Yeah.
I see God when I look into your eyes. Your skin is so soft. I've never felt anything like this before. I'm so grateful to be with you. I'm so lucky you're alive. I'm so lucky we're alive together. Thank you for choosing me.
next level talk you through it. You know what I'm saying?
Right?
Like, oh my gosh. He's so obsessed with me. I love him. Oh my gosh, that's so good. I love that. Okay, you've mentioned before too, it's called the sexy eye triangle.
Yes.
I was listening to a podcast that you were on the other day and I loved your breakdown of this. Is this, you came up with this?
I don't know anymore. I've just like, you know what it is too? I'm actually like not naturally good at any of this stuff. So
Oh, please.
I'm not.
Really?
So I had to study it. I've had to learn manually. I've studied from pickup artists. I've studied from feminists. I've studied from tantra experts, like all kinds of different resources. Like, how do you own this part of your life? That to me gives me eroticism, and eroticism means a sense of aliveness. It gives me vitality. So sexy eye triangle, that was a long way of saying, I'm not sure if I stole this from somebody else or it's my thing at this point.
Yeah.
But it's in essence playing with eye contact.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you look at someone directly in the eyes, as we've been doing this whole time, it's wonderful.
Yeah.
But it's also a sign of respect and attentiveness.
Right.
Which I give to a teacher, I give to a lover, I give to anybody, right? When I look down at somebody, right, I position myself a little higher and look down at them, right? It's a sense of dominance, right? I'm sussing you out. Like, I'm trying to figure you out.
Like looking you up and down.
Yeah, looking you down, like there. And if I position myself here and I look up at you, right, it's like awe. Or it could be mischief for a man, right? Like if he's like looking down at you this way.
Yeah.
So the sexy eye triangle is a way of like mixing all of those to create a clear intention of a sexual connection. Because eye contact is very important, but sometimes you're still left questioning like,
yeah, are they interested, or what's
are they
what
really
what's
nice?
the signal? Yeah.
Yeah, is it?
Would you use this sexy eye triangle? Say if I'm out at a bar and I see someone that I'm attracted to, is that something that you lead with, or would it be a little intimidating if I give somebody the full triangle? Like maybe just like one step of the triangle and feel it out?
I feel like in conversation, right? If I'm just talking to you and I'm just like, wow, like your skin looks really great today. Right? It's that moment.
I'd be like,
then you know. You could do it from across the room.
Yeah.
One of my favorite people to learn from, I spent a lot of time with strippers, and one stripper in particular, Nina, because strippers have to do this all day long, right?
Yes.
They have to make these connections across the room and then also feel out if someone is a receptive customer. And so you definitely can do so much before you even speak to somebody, like using cheeky cues, trying to get eye contact at least 3 times, doing a little wave, seeing if somebody's receptive. And then she gave me a tip that I loved so much is like, when you're a stripper, when you're trying to approach somebody in general, which women should do.
Absolutely.
Are you
Shoot
team?
your shot. Oh my God.
Are you team?
That is the story of my life.
Yes?
I'm sliding in DMs. I'm walking up to you. I'm staring at you across the room until you are almost uncomfortable. And I want you to know that I'm looking at you. Because then if you don't speak, then it's like, all right, you're not my type anyways. But I'm going to make it clear that I'm interested. Absolutely.
I love that. And it has to be also give and take, right? That's the thing. And when people think about women making the first move, it's not like, can I buy you a drink?
Yeah, it's like, hey,
I like you. It's a coy game, right?
Yeah.
We're chic, we're sensual, we're emotionally intelligent. So we're not going to go over and just throw all our cards on the table. And so if you're making eye contact a few times with somebody, you're making it very clear. If you start to walk over to that person and they don't sit up and clear the space around them as if their meal is coming, you just keep walking.
Repositioning, like showing that they
I need to know.
Yeah, like a hair or a.
Okay, cool. Like
let me get myself
my
together.
order is coming over. This is what I asked for. This is what I want.
Yeah.
And it's coming to me. Like, what?
Oh, I love that.
You better fucking move the appetizer plate.
Yeah.
And make room for the main course. And if you don't, then you walk past that person.
And they have no fear of rejection, which I admire too. And what's the big deal? I think about that all the time. Like girls will always be like, well, what if they screenshot this, or what if they talk about me in the group chat? But it's like, okay, you saw a guy at a bar, you walked up to him and you said, hey, and he didn't reciprocate the interest back. Keep it walking.
Yes.
Go to the next guy, and then the next guy, and then the next guy until it sticks. Because who cares? I just feel like life is too short, and we put so much pressure on ourselves to not be rejected, to not look silly, to not be embarrassed. It's like, girl, you gotta live a little.
You're preaching.
Yeah.
There's nobody keeping score up there.
Literally.
One of my favorite interviews I've ever heard before about someone talking about relationships is John Mayer. And he's single in his 40s.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if he's still single.
I really love him.
I do too. Yeah. So the person was asking him, like, do you feel pressure that you haven't fulfilled this part of your life, that you're still single? He's like, what? There's billions of people on this planet. I just got to find one.
Literally.
What? Who cares? And the ones that I don't end up with, why do I care what they think about me? I really don't. I just got to find my one. And so if that's your objective, then of course you're going to take the first move.
Yeah, agreed. I touched on earlier a little bit about my upbringing. Like, you know that I'm from California. I'm from the IE, grew up in the suburbs. and was raised in a very religious household.
I love your household.
My sisters and my mom.
I love your whole family. I love
Thank
whenever you
you.
post about your family. I love it.
Thank you. It's a good family to come from. I'm not mad at it. But I think every family has its quirks. We're going to call them quirks. But my mom is a very religious woman. I grew up in church, went to church every Sunday. Still am a woman of faith and spirituality, but I think that my traditional view on sexuality is definitely very different. And I think that it has a lot to do with not just from a religious standpoint, but just society's viewpoint of just like Black womanhood and almost like this pressure to feel ashamed about our sexuality. Like, I don't feel like I have to title myself as someone who's sexually liberated just because I'm comfortable saying that I have sex or that I have multiple sexual partners or, I don't know, threesomes. And not necessarily saying that this is my truth, because that'll be the thing. Like, oh my gosh, Kayla's on the podcast talking about she's having threesomes and just all the freaky things she's done. I'm just saying that women in general, there is this expectation and this almost like shame associated with people who want to feel comfortable talking about sex. Can you talk to me about where that might come from and how, as women, we can shift that?
Mm-hmm. What do you believe around sex? You said your beliefs are different.
Well, because from a religious standpoint, and we don't want to get too deep into religion, but I grew up thinking that, you're not supposed to have sex until marriage. There was never like a birds and the bees conversation in my household. It was like I started my period and it was like, okay, well now, if you have sex, which you shouldn't, because if you do, you will go to hell. If you have sex, you will get pregnant. So you better use a condom. And if you don't use a condom, you're going to get an STD and die. You know what I mean? It's like one extreme or the other. There was no gray area. There was no like pleasure conversations. I think anytime I wanted to explore the idea of sex, I had to go to porn, which I think is, we're going to get to that too. But that was like my resource. I remember going to Barnes & Noble and literally like sneaking and reading the books about sex in the library in Barnes & Noble because I didn't really have an outlet or a woman to talk to about it just because I didn't have that relationship with my mom. And no shade to her, but I don't think that I had that relationship. My sisters don't have that relationship. And really, my sisters don't really have that relationship with me. So I'm at a place in my life where I really want to empower myself and educate myself so that in the event that they do want to have these often uncomfortable conversations, I could be like a resource for them too.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for that. And thank you for answering your own question. Because that's where it comes from, right? And in life, I think we write in permanent marker. And if you've been writing the same sentence in permanent marker for 25, 26 years, 18 years even, over and over again, you can write over that. It's going to take a long time to cover that up. So I think people have to give themselves grace for that. Of course, you're going to still feel the shame and the guilt and the expectation to feel shame and guilty, even within yourself, because that's the story that you've repeated and rehearsed over and over again. So giving yourself the benefit of time. I talk to so many women who are frustrated with themselves about having, a new thought around their sexual identity, their sexual place in this world, and then getting mad that the old thought isn't going away.
Yeah.
Just repetition in time. So you're doing all the right things. You just have to keep doing it.
Yeah. How do you feel about, because I've never approached my sisters about talking about sex because nobody did that for me. And I almost feel like if they wanted to, they would ask. How do you find that balance? Because you have daughters.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously they're growing up in a household with two parents that are very open, great examples of just what it means to be like sexually positive, healthy human beings that don't make it weird. You know what I mean? Like it's very normalized in your household. So would you recommend someone approaching others to offer like, I don't know, just being
100%.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think it's hard when it's not been the culture of the relationship. That's anything in life. To your point about cheaters, right? Like if it's not a normalized culture in our relationship to talk about our feelings, our complex feelings, to go into our feelings of shame and of guilt, and to be a part of each other's decision making.
Yeah.
Because you're comfortable sharing your imperfect thoughts with somebody else, it's going to be very difficult to introduce that. It's possible. So it's also not bringing it up once to your sisters and then being like, well, they weren't interested.
Yeah.
It's just that you're trying to create a new flow, right? So it's going to take habit building. You have to do it a lot. And I think you have to utilize, like you did a great job on the show, right? Like, did you hear what Neo said?
Yeah,
Did you hear what NLE Chopper said? Have you heard of this before? Have you heard of that? It's just bringing it up casually in conversation and then them being me and being like, what's an autosexual?
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, it's just this. It's very, matter of fact. So I think you do. One of my pet peeves from parents is like, Well, I don't talk to my kids about sex, but they know if they have any questions, they can come to me.
Yeah, and they
You're like,
don't.
what if math teachers did that, right?
Yeah.
I don't have a lesson plan, but if they want to know, they'll
Yeah.
come to me.
Yeah.
It's like these are young people.
Yeah.
You're the adult.
Mm.
Take the lead.
Mm.
You're the older one. You're the wiser one. So if you're uncomfortable bringing it up, why do you expect them to
Right.
be able to do so? Especially when the stakes are higher for them because they don't have the sureness that you have. They don't have the confidence in their own answers yet. So yeah, that's amazing to do that. It's definitely hard though. There's like family members of mine that I still don't really talk about sex with.
Yeah.
But I also acknowledge that it's just me being like, oh, they'll figure it out.
Yeah. It's a difference when you're grown, though. You know what I mean? But I feel a level of responsibility
Yes.
with my sisters, or even within my friendships, too, and with my girlfriends. Like, we do talk about sex, but I still think that there is a little bit, a lack of the conversations being rooted in, like, education and, like, the advancement of our perspective and not just kind of like, girl, last night I did so-and-so, so-and-so. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want it to have a little bit more substance.
But that might be weird. Asking them about their
Yeah.
sex life or their intimate life or their crushes,
Yeah.
telling about yours might be weird.
Yeah.
But using a neutral source to just comment on,
Okay, that's
that
a
you
good
can
point.
weave it in. Not
That's
weird.
a good point. That's a good point.
Don't be weird.
And that makes me more comfortable as well, too. Because it's like, maybe that's why I'm also avoiding it, because I don't want to go, we don't need to exchange notes.
Yeah.
That does not need to happen.
Yeah.
I don't really want to know what you're doing in your dorm with your friends. I don't need to know none of that. I just want to make sure that they're being safe and smart.
Right. And that you
protected.
know about things, right?
Yeah.
Like I know that too for myself. I went to a Catholic school growing up. I thought while I was having sex that the clitoris was a secret button inside of the vagina
Mhm.
that only the right penis could find.
Mhm.
So I kept
Your
looking for
husband's
that
penis
right
at that.
penis. No, I was just searching for anybody's.
No, period.
I was just like, well, now that one didn't work. Let's try a different one. But that's because my like introduction to the clitoris was a teacher in high school who like looked like your classic high school teacher.
Mhm.
It looked like she had a vulva, but they hadn't been in communication for quite some time.
Mm.
And so she was standing at this like board and she was like, this is the woman genitalia. This is the vulva. This is the clitoris. There's a vagina. There's a urethra. And
Figure
I'm
it out.
like, everything is like here. So I was like, oh, it's like trying to like follow her hand movements. But yeah, it's such a beautiful gift to tell your kids. My kids know now where their
Yes.
clitoris is, where their vulva
Yes.
is, where their urethra is, why they pee out of that area, what the difference is between a vagina and a vulva. Like, why not? Because they also know the difference between a toe and a foot.
Yes. And there's an element of empowering that comes with that. Like knowing your own body. Because now if I know my own body, I can communicate to others my body as well and what pleases me, what doesn't please me. The level of shame that I felt for a really long time about just knowing what I liked and didn't like was unfair to me.
Yes.
Especially as a woman,
Ooh.
like feeling like, oh, I can't communicate to this guy that this is what I like. And at this big old age of 33, I'm telling you, I honestly have a manual. It's like I print it out and just hand it to them. I'm like, hey, so these are the checkpoints.
I'd love to see this manual. You should have
Just
brought that
kidding,
in for
shit.
show and tell.
I'm just kidding. She's like, literally put it on the board. So we're going to start here. But I think that that's so important. And not enough people are doing that. And honestly, I'm 33. I think that there are still women at this age and maybe even older who don't know their body.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
My sister watched my class on Masterclass, and my sister's in her 40s, and she was like, there were alarming amounts of things that I didn't know about my own body.
Yes.
And so, absolutely. And I want to just say on the note of the importance of talking to kids and giving them the language to label their own bodies. This is a study that was found that kids who are able to accurately label their genitals by name, not by nickname, and definitely not by like privates and don't touch and do touch, are less likely to be the victims of sexual assault or trauma.
Wow.
Because abusers look for people whose sexuality is shrouded in shame and secrecy. So if you don't use the right language, that signifies to them that you don't have a safe space to talk about sex with, and that you feel a sense of guilt around it. So that I know we can do what we do and shroud it in guilt and also the need for secrecy.
Wow. That is so, so good. Okay, and the education element of it too is intriguing to me because when you don't have someone to talk to, I think a lot of people turn to porn.
Mm-hmm.
And can we talk about why that is problematic?
It's problematic if it's like your first place, right?
Yeah.
I think as an adult with discernment, you can watch porn and be like, that sounds fake, that sounds real. But that thing that they did at minute 12 looks interesting to me.
Yeah.
And being able to like pick one from the other, if you don't know and it looks like a manual to you, it's entertainment. It's like watching WWE wrestling and being like, if I get into it tomorrow with Craig, then I'm going to do these moves, right? So if you're using that as a copy and paste manual, it's extremely damaging. And also acknowledging that mainstream porn is 99.9% directed towards a male audience.
Yeah.
It's their fantasy. Like, it's their world. That's like women expecting romance novels to be a copy and paste for how love actually is.
Yeah.
It's directed towards one side of the population, catered towards their fantasies for entertainment value only.
So where can grown adults go to look for sex education? What's a good place?
You go to loversbyshan.com.
Hey,
you can
now.
watch my class on Masterclass.
Plug it.
Yeah.
But actually,
there's millions of places. I mean, there's ethical porn. Balesa is a site that's for women, by women. Erica Lust makes porn based off of women's fantasies and makes it her mission to make them accurate to how bodies actually experience pleasure, and directs actors to only authentically express what they like and what they don't like, creating more organic environments. So there's definitely porn you can utilize.
Yeah.
But you find your medium. There's podcasts. There's like so many different tools out there, which is why as an elder, you know, a big sister, or as a parent or an adult, that's also part of your job too, is to steer them in the direction of like good resources.
Yeah.
Because if it's not comfortable coming from me, at least find comfort in these spaces that I know I can verify.
Absolutely. Oh, that's good.
Do you watch porn?
I do.
Mm-hmm.
But I have an issue with porn because like you said, it's very performative to me. It's like I need to be on mute.
What's your category?
Lesbian.
Yeah.
Because it's all about pleasing the other woman. It's not like some big brolic man ramming a girl into the wall. I don't really need to see that at all. That doesn't arouse me at all one bit. And to each his own. But for me, no, I can pass.
Do you know what's really fascinating is that a lot of lesbians that I know only watch gay porn, man on man. And that's because when they watch lesbian porn, they see it just as phony as we look at heterosexual porn. They're like, I know she's not actually gay.
Yeah.
I know she's not actually like that. So they're like, when I watch gay men have sex, I actually think that they want to be there. But lesbian porn is also my category.
Yeah. It just
because that's where you can see yourself being happy.
Absolutely.
I'm like, I could be either one of these people and be happy.
Yeah, literally.
In that other film, I would not be pleased.
Me either. Yeah. It just looks painful and aggressive. There's no sensual nature at all. I could sit and talk to Shan for 2 hours. Should we make this a 2-hour pod? Just kidding. She's like, I have to leave. I gotta go, sweetie. All right, Shan. We are jumping into the third quarter Q&A.
Yay.
I have allowed the girlies to send in some questions for you, and they're really good. I'm actually pretty proud of them because I thought that they were going to be, prude and scared and timid. But we've got some juice in here, so we'll just jump through a few. And you can answer them at length or just as quickly as you'd like. First question. We talked about this a little bit. How long should sex last?
As long as you're enjoying it.
Okay. But the number that you gave us, the average was?
3 to 12 minutes for penetration.
Okay.
The average amount of time for penetration, which means that some people are 30 seconds and some people are 10 days.
Yeah.
So your average number is going to be 3 to 12.
Oh, it varies.
Yeah.
However long you would like to be pleased is how long
your sex
long
you should like to be pleased, that's long as you last, right? And if you're not enjoying it and you start to think about the laundry, it's time to like have conversations around what you're doing and how you can make it enjoyable for both people.
Exactly. This next one. How do you handle men who are into slapping during sex?
Sometimes they watch porn and they think that's what you like because that's what they saw other women and that was their educational source enjoy. So you can just educate them and be like, I don't really like that.
Or if you do like it.
If you do like it, then how do you handle it? You say, yes, daddy. Do it again, harder. Over here. Tell me I'm bad when you do it.
You turn the other cheek.
But if you don't, you say what do you like about hitting during sex? Like, does it feel like sexy and empowering? Like, okay, cool. I'm glad that you feel that. The way that you're doing it hurts a little bit. Can we try some different options? Or can we use this tool that's a little softer and maybe you just wind up and then before you actually let go, you just release a little bit.
Yes.
Or can we try gripping instead? So I want to acknowledge this feels good for you to do, but I think that it doesn't feel good for me to receive. So how can we remix it?
Gripping is choking?
Gripping your ass could be like, it could be choking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All the things. Perfect. When is it appropriate time to bring up your sexual past when dating someone new?
I think you bring it up to address sexual health for sure. And you bring it up to address any awkward connections, right? Like if you've had sex with someone's cousin, then you try to bring it up
We might need to talk about that
pretty soon.
before the family reunion.
Right, yeah. If you want to ask about someone's sexual health and you want to know how somebody values their sexual health, you bring those questions up early. The rest of it, you just have to assess how important it is.
Yeah.
I think that some people I really don't. Jared lied about his sexual number for years.
Yeah.
Years.
He knows how many people he's had sex with?
He doesn't. But that's the thing is he told me 7. And I was so proud of this number. So I would tell everybody. And the way that he had sex,
Shan put it on a t-shirt.
It felt like 7.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't porn rehearsed. It felt like, wow, this is somebody who really genuinely has been very intentional about this.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we were on a double date once. And I was like, well, Jared's only had sex with 7. He was like, what are you talking about?
She's like, and I'm lucky 8.
Yeah. I was 7.
Oh, period.
I was 7.
Okay.
And he's born on October 7th. So
oh,
it was
wow. You're
very serendipitous.
Numerology. Okay.
No. So I just think that I don't know the number to this day.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's an important detail.
Yeah.
But I think it would be important to know the other surrounding factors to that. And if it is important to you, you have to ask yourself why. But if you're just curious, because sometimes you just want to know, then phrase it that way.
Mm-hmm. Perfect.
Do you ask?
No, I don't care.
Right.
Like you said, unless it's because it's a friend, family member, I don't care about what you did before me.
She could rub my face. I don't want nothing in return. Her body count and who she fucked is never my concern.
This is an NLE
I'm trying to buy my neighbor house.
What song?
I thought you would chime in. I thought you would chime in. I don't actually know those are the lyrics. Let's move on.
What song is
Let's move on.
What song?
It's a Dogtooth by.
She's like, I thought that you were gonna sing it with me. That was a sing-along opportunity. Okay, how do you initiate the conversation about trying new things in the bedroom?
I think the best place to do it is right now. I had a dream last night. I had a dream about you last night. We did this in this dream. What do you think about that? Just out of the moment, no pressure. Wow. And it's not like you're not doing. It's I had this exciting idea to do it. Or I saw this really great video. I watched this porn. My friend sent me this porn. Send the person that video. This looks really hot. What do you think? So that gives that person time to digest it and to process it without feeling the pressure to perform. And if they have immediate, they're saying I don't do something well, I think to a lot of people, men in particular, the fear that you're not good in the bedroom is right up there with death. Just
yeah, that ego.
Level. Right. Yeah. But that's also just because of the scripts that they've been told growing up. I find it very challenging to get men to be enthusiastic about sex education, which is fascinating because they should be the first ones of the class, but admitting that they have to learn is admitting defeat to them. So I think keeping that in mind, just trying to make it as inviting and as fun as possible. You want to talk about sex with the same adjectives that you would use to describe great sex.
Yeah.
How would you describe great sex?
Pleasure, being pleased, intimacy, eye contact, being sensual, me being pleased.
Did we mention that already?
Yeah, did I say pleasing me?
But you want it to be sexy, funny, wet, spontaneous, relaxed, inviting, intimate. So talking about sex should have that light in your eyes. It should be oh my God. Not
I have an idea. Serious.
We need to talk.
Yeah, this is bad.
This is bad.
Let's lean away from that. Okay.
Right, exactly.
Got it. Is it a turnoff if a man wants you to peg him? A guy wants me to, but I'm intimidated.
I think it's such a turn on. I'd be so grateful. But that's just me knowing that the alternative is men who are afraid to do and try anything. And then if you're going to have sex with somebody for a long time and their mode is rocking a hard place, it's just going to get very boring very quickly. I think it's not a coincidence that we always see in sitcoms the guy who's begging the wife to have sex who never wants to. And it's did her pussy dry up?
Right.
Or was she just fucking bored of the 5, 6, 7, 8?
Yeah.
So a partner who's this is my body, my domain.
Let's
There's so much
explore
to
it.
explore. Let's go. Let's try different things. Let's try different roles out. Let's play. I think is very, very sexy. It's a turn on and it's exciting for the future. But I also understand the heteronormativity that's wrapped up in it, the
And the
questions you may
stigma
have
of it,
around bisexuality, which is insane that exploring being an autosexual I learned.
Yeah.
Being an autosexual and exploring your own body, wanting to delight in your own body,
Yeah.
makes me wonder if you're a homosexual.
Yeah.
That's like very strange math.
That is strange. It doesn't add up. But that's what you see on Instagram. You know what I mean? That's the IG conversation that, if you are exploring your body, this might mean that you're gay.
Yeah. Don't do it too. Same with polyamory though. Like I've heard multiple stories from women who like will do it begrudgingly and then make it weird. And then afterwards their partner never asks for it again. Yeah. Even if their partner orgasmed and loved it, they just don't ask again because it was a strange interaction. Yeah. It was like empty and quiet. So don't do it unless you've watched tons of videos, normalize it in your own mind, talked about it with your girlfriends, challenge your own thoughts on it. And when you can enter into that enthusiastically and give that person the space to delight in the moment, that's when you go.
Copy. This just says squirting ?
I don't know about squirting. I squirt, but I'm not entirely sure I'm not just peeing.
The education around squirting is concerning. Can people do more research? Why is there not more research about it?
Because the clitoris wasn't anatomically fully discovered till 2005. The penis,
excuse me,
35 BCE. So weird.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
People were not identifying what a clitoris was in books until 2005?
We didn't fully understand that it was shaped like a wishbone. We didn't understand the vestibules versus the bulbs versus the legs. We didn't understand the clitoris until 2005 when it was fully uncovered. So that to be said, we haven't really got to squirting yet. We just got here.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's in 2045. This is going to be a no-brainer conversation. Right now, we're still questioning. And it's okay if it's a little bit of pee, if it feels good for you.
Right.
And it's a natural release. There's a difference between sexual incontinence and squirting. And so I think
what is that?
When you just have a weak pelvic floor and you're just literally just peeing on people.
Okay. Got it.
It's not linked to pleasure. It's not necessarily linked to like a certain act.
Oh, okay.
Like the method to get someone to squirt is like around the clock, where you're usually giving outer clitoral stimulation mixed with internal, usually fingers, to be honest.
Okay.
Because it's like going up to the A spot, then going to the G zone, then going to the P spot there, then putting pressure or stimulation around the area, maybe pressing on the urethra.
She just said the alphabet. The what? The A, the P, and the G?
The A, the P, the G. Good memory.
Wow, okay. What is
that? Good memory.
A, P, G.
A spot is around the cervix. There's a fornix. And so you think about it like the Arc de Triomphe. Like there's like a circle and then there's like a ridge around it.
Okay.
So that ridge area is very pleasurable. The cervix itself can be very painful. So that's why it's usually a fingering or toy thing, because a penis that jams up and down and hits the cervix is painful, but a toy that presses forward and gets into that ridge can be very pleasurable. Usually your middle finger needs a lot of pressure. So the A is towards the belly button, the P is towards the butt.
Got it.
And the G is 2 inches in, pressing forward, come here motion.
Yes. Wow. That was very informative. Who knew? So if you want to squirt, then you need to try all those things.
It's around the clock. So you go here, you press to the back. So like you're almost looking at it like 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock. And you're just going around. You got to
get in there like a...
And then using a lot of pressure. Like the pressure almost has to come from your shoulder versus your fingers. Your fingers alone are too weak. So it's like that versus like that.
Wow. This is a good one. I don't experience orgasms often during sex, even what she would consider to be really good sex. How can I change that?
We have so many questions for her. What is sex? So.
Okay. So if we say.
If she's saying penetration. Only 1/3 of women will experience consistent orgasm from penetration alone that is not assisted by outer clitoral stimulation.
Yeah.
And so if she is defining sex by penetration, then she might be a part of the 2/3 of women who require outer clitoral stimulation, oral sex, fingering, a vibrator during sex in order to reach orgasm. Only between 2 to 5% of people with vulvas are anorgasmic, meaning they can't orgasm at all. And about 50% of that 2 to 5% is postmenopausal.
Oh, wow.
So I think a lot of women consider themselves anorgasmic before they just consider the fact that what they do during masturbation is not being done during sex. And there's the gap.
Yeah. And so to translate that, if you do know what you like during masturbation, which is for a lot of women, clitoral stimulation, there's a way to incorporate both.
Of course.
During sex.
Yes, absolutely.
And
or do one at a time. And that's where we get longer than 12 minutes.
Yes.
We can increase our time.
I come, you come.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly that. Or we use a vibrator while we're penetrating. We use a vibrating cock ring. You do the thumb thing while you're on the outside. I touch myself while you're penetrating. I mean, there's tons of really hot ways to include what you both like.
And certain positions too, I feel like you can there's a ability to have penetration and clitoral stimulation at the same time. And so you think that, oh, it's like, oh, I finally came from just, a penis being inside of me. But really, it's like, I'm just rubbing your clit the whole time.
Yes. So you're talking about being on top.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or maybe there's others. Yeah, but mainly being on top for sure.
Yeah, because you get to do the scoot.
Yes.
There's something called the rule of thumb, which in essence means that some women's clitoris is close enough to their vaginal opening where they can get enough friction from penetration and from grinding. Some women's clitorises who are higher up, even with certain positions in grinding, it won't be enough stimulation to reach orgasm.
Okay, so maybe introducing a toy would be helpful.
For some, but some people, they could just scoot their way to
the promised land. Okay, let's do one more. Is foreplay necessary?
Yeah, absolutely. From a scientific standpoint, the vaginal canal is 4 inches and most people's penises are not 4 inches and the cervix is very painful to hit. And in order for the vagina to elongate to up to 8 inches, which most penises are not 8 inches, so it's up and out of the way, it takes anywhere from 12 to 20 minutes. So 20 minutes to 40 minutes can be really, really enjoyable for people. And then in addition to, all bodies get hard and wet, right? So even people with penises who, even if they're erect, doesn't mean they're fully aroused, right? Yeah. When your lips become engorged with blood, your pupils dilate, your breathing changes, your skin flushes, your perception changes, right? They self-lubricate, and so they get pre-cum. So all of those things happening can take some time, even if you get the initial arousal side effects, which is, a woman moistens and a man gets erect. It doesn't mean the body is fully prepared. And it might take you longer to reach orgasm if you don't put the time in. So I think it's extremely important. But quickies are great too.
Yeah.
And sometimes foreplay can be the thing that you did in your mind before.
Okay, so foreplay though, your body is literally responding. Like your vagina is what? Opening up more?
It's like opening a store,
yeah,
right? So it's like
I didn't know that. I mean, obviously,
door, you turn off the alarm system, you turn on the lights, you open up the cash register. Like just unlocking the door doesn't mean the store is fully open.
Right.
People could come in at that point. But if you want it to be an experience, like you need to take the time to really open things up, to get set up. And the sex is often more enjoyable when you do all of those things.
Yeah.
And foreplay, I'm a very big fan of the Kama Sutra. And I'm actually wearing a lot of my jewelry that is Kama Sutra inspired. But it's expanding the definition of foreplay too to like, because if I say 40 minutes and someone's like, I got to kiss your neck
for
40 minutes, right? Like I got to jiggle your tits for 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And the Kama Sutra says like every good lover should have an easel by their bedside because you should be drawing each other naked. You should be telling each other sexy stories before you start. Like, tell me about the hottest time that you ever got a hand job or the freakiest thing you've ever done before in a car. You're having these dialogues. Before we even touch, the foreplay is beginning. We're like telling our bodies that sex is coming.
Okay, talk to me about the jewelry.
Yeah. So
how do you incorporate that?
They're instructive pieces. I think I have 2 on. I have my anklets on and then I have my earrings on. But they're instructive pieces that tell you how to move your body and how to follow rhythm to follow your pleasure. So there's a jingling girdle, and this is exactly what the scoot is. So the jingling girdle is a waist chain that has bells all over it, and you put it on to remind yourself that you should not make a sound. Because if you're having sex the way that porn instructs you, when you're on top, what are you doing? Right. You're doing acrobatics, but in order to prioritize your pleasure, you have to go back and forth, right?
Wow.
And then without making a sound. And the earrings are there to remind you to tilt your pelvis forward because you should have your hands on your partner's chest or on their feet so that you're facing forward. So you can get that grind towards the frontal area. So if you don't feel that swing against your cheek or you hear bells, then you know you're doing it wrong.
And these are available for purchase?
They're available for purchase, Kayla. Thanks so much, friend.
It's like, where can we get them, Shan?
You can go to loversbyshan.com in the shop section. They're there. I partner with Seema Anand, who's a sex educator, who if you don't follow, she's just, what I love about her, especially for people like us who come from a space of shame, Seema has a PhD in narrative studies, and so she researches ancient texts. And what that tells us is that sexual liberation, loving your body, pleasuring and delighting in your pleasure is not a new age thing that we have to do. This is actually from our ancestors. This is our history. This is our birthright and our earthright. This is how it's always meant to be. Somewhere in the middle, things got lost and muddy, but the ancient texts tell us that when we put ourselves in a position to receive and to be loved and to be worshipped, we're doing exactly what we're meant to be doing.
Amazing. Well, I need some. Can I get a care
know.
package?
I know. You know, it's sold out the first round.
Period.
So I'm very proud of that.
Okay,
but
well,
we
the next
restocked.
drop.
I will.
The next drop.
I will.
Seriously.
Do you want a waist chain? There's a waist chain. There's a spine chain. This is my favorite one. So
Ooh.
it runs all the way down your back, down to your butt.
Yeah.
And so you can tuck it into your butt cheeks.
Yeah.
It's great for sensation play, but when you're like hitting it from the back, like
Yes.
it changes the view.
Oh, it's decorative. I have a spine tattoo, so I feel like this would be a nice little
okay, I'm
added
gonna get you the
element.
spine chain.
And the waist chain too. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Okay, we're gonna move into the fourth quarter of the show. It's essentially called the game plan, where I try and just give the girlies some words of wisdom or advice or encouragement for their week. And I usually come up with the game plan, but knowing what this demographic is, it's mainly women my age who are just looking to navigate the world with more confidence, especially within the bedroom, but just being more confident women overall. Is there any advice that you could give them to set up their week, this month, this year, to just be a more confident, self-assured version of themselves?
Mm-hmm. What that strikes for me is that anybody who's listened to this far in the podcast is already doing it. Right? To be confident in something is a mix of competence and enthusiastic action. And the only way to get competent at something is by practicing and listening to the help of mentors, acknowledging that you have a space that you want to grow and doing the work to do that. So if you've listened to this whole podcast, you're already gaining competence, right? You're already putting yourself in a position to be knowledgeable and to be really good at something. Enthusiastic action is that missing piece for a lot of people. Now, I think about this because American Idol is an example of people who have confidence, but they just have enthusiastic action.
Yeah.
They're not actually, the competence part's not there yet.
Yeah.
So I really love people actually who tell me that they're not confident because it shows self-insight and a lack of delusion, which is like my favorite quality in people.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of people out there. Delulu.
Yes.
I'm not a fake it till you make it person.
Yeah, me neither.
I think that just put the work in and acknowledge where you're at, enjoy the journey, and you'll know when you're at a place where you're like, I can do this shit.
Yes.
And I'm very confident as a lover. I'm very confident in the bedroom. I learn new things on the hour. Constantly. I learn new stuff today from you.
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean that you're finished, but it means that you know what you're doing and that you delight in the unknown as well. So anybody who's listened this far is like I'm already a fan of you, and I already know I could learn from you.
Same. I'm a huge fan of you. Thank you so much for coming today.
Oh my gosh, thank you. No, you have to give yours.
My one takeaway from our conversation would be, I feel so much more empowered to remove the shame in my own life. You've opened my eyes to the reality of it's important for me to have these hard conversations with my sisters, but to reframe it because it's not really that hard. Like, we're all doing it. And what's hard is doing it without any direction or without anyone's input of like, hey, like this is healthy and it's normal. I'm inspired to do that. So hopefully people listening will feel the same way too. Removing the shame and just being confident in the fact that like we're human.
I have to edit your thing. You can't remove the shame. It's like removing a tattoo. It's going to take 15, 20 sessions.
Well, I don't want to
embrace the shame and know you're in the process of removing it. But it will take time. And in the meantime, acknowledge it, embrace it, look at it, invite it into the bedroom. It's a part of your reality. It's a part of your history. And it's going to be. And you're going to know when it's not. Because after enough time of editing it and writing over top of it, it will just be too hard to even see the dots of the eyes anymore. But in the meantime,
embrace the shame.
Embrace the shame.
Put a name to it.
You're shameful.
Right. It's like, just, I'm so embarrassed.
Right. And then put an action plan to not feel embarrassed and then walk with it until you're like, oh, my plan has worked so well that I don't even have to think to not think about it.
Yeah. And the comfort would come from that too.
Yes.
I'll feel more comfortable sharing and exploring.
The best sex is authentic sex.
Okay, that's real. That's a bar. It's sexy to be authentic. I completely agree. We could put that on a t-shirt.
Okay.
Well, thank you, Shan. This has been so fun.
Thank you.
You have to come by again with Jared.
Oh my gosh. We really do.
Thank you, girl.